Welcome, everyone. It's wonderful to be with you today for this important webinar on brain health and the Life at Lynchburg program, which is hosted by the University of Lynchburg. My name is Brian Jacks. My role at AARP Virginia is Associate State Director for Community Outreach. Community outreach means bringing AARP to the local communities so that members are aware AARP is more than just a big organization in the Washington, D.C. area, but truly has programs, projects, collaborations, and events throughout the Commonwealth. Today, I'm excited to be with individuals from the University of Lynchburg. I'll be introducing you to them shortly, but wanted to mention that today's conversation is taking place because AARP has a commitment to the issue of brain health. AARP's mission is to help people age as they wish with dignity, and having a strong brain capacity and brain health is an integral part to that. AARP has teamed up with the Council on Brain Health, a national organization, to make sure that we are understanding what components add to our members' healthy brain functioning as they get older. And I just quickly want to share with you 6 of the pillars of brain health before we jump right into what's taking place on the campus of the University of Lynchburg. The 6 pillars of brain health are tips and habits which individuals can take, simple steps that can make a big difference, including being social, making sure that individuals are keeping in touch with friends and family, not being isolated at home, but being engaged in regular communication and engagement and fellowship. You're going to see how Life at Lynchburg ties directly into that specific habit of healthy brains. Secondly, engaging your brain, finding ways to stimulate new thinking, exploring new interests and hobbies. Again, there is a very clear connection and correlation with what's taking place at Life at Lynchburg. Third, managing stress, practicing relaxation and taking time for oneself. Fourth, ongoing exercise. We all recognize that physical activity makes a big impact on not only one's bodily health, but also one's mental health. And so AARP and the Council on Brain Health suggest making sure to target at least 2.5 hours of moderate physical activity, if possible, per week. A 5th habit is restorative sleep, making sure that we get 7 to 8 hours of restful sleep each day. And the last, number 6, being eating in a healthy way, choosing a nutritious, heart-healthy diet of fish, veggies, and fruits. Let me say that as AARP has focused on the topic of brain health, we recognize that there are different aspects of each of those habits that we can both make the public aware of and also help foster new programs that will do that. In reference to ongoing exercise, AARP Virginia has a number of pickleball events taking place in Lynchburg that have drawn quite an interest from the public. Anyway, this is not a big commercial, but wanted to make sure that we're focusing on that overarching topic of brain health as we look at Life at Lynchburg today. I'm happy to be joined by Sarah Rhodes, who is the Director of Donor Relations at University of Lynchburg. She's going to be leading this group panel that answers some questions that you may have about Life at Lynchburg. I'm thankful that she'll be introducing the other guests who are participating, but I do wish to say Pam Chisholm is one of our community ambassadors with AARP Virginia, who is helping me with the technical aspects, and wanted to give her a quick shout out and a big thanks today. Sarah, I know that you have a number of things underway at University of Lynchburg. We're so excited to have collaborated with you in the past with Life at Lynchburg, and we want to make sure that we're doing our best to make sure that individuals in the Lynchburg area and beyond are aware of what's taking place at Life at Lynchburg and how they can tune in either in person or virtually. So at this point, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Brian. Thank you for having us today. AARP have been great partners for us since our program started 2 years ago now. It's wonderful to be here today with you and with your members. And I would love to start by introducing our program's chief, President Allison Morrison-Shetler.
Well, thank you very much, Sarah, for that introduction. And Brian, thank you so much for inviting us to be part of this conversation. I started actually at the University of Central Florida being engaged with a LIFE program. And LIFE actually stands for Lifelong Learning Institute for Elders, but we don't use elders anymore. In fact, we decided to say Lifelong Learning Institute for Engaged People. And that's really what it is. A lot of people come to educational institutions, live close to an educational institution so that they can be engaged on that campus and in that community. And so the very first one that I was involved in was at the University of Central Florida. I had the opportunity to sit down at lunchtime with some people and ask. They looked a little older than the average age of a student. So I sat down and asked them what they were doing there. And they said that they were part of the Life at University of Central Florida program. Found out about it, learned a lot about it, and actually ended up becoming the dean of that program while I was at UCF. And what I saw with these people that I met was that they were very engaged. They were excited to come to campus. They were excited to learn not just about new ideas, but to be engaged with our students as well. And that multi-generational contact really sort of invigorated them and made them excited about coming to campus, but also to contribute and support our students. So I was very, very pleased with that program. About 600 members from the community came once a week for 2 hours. They would learn about all sorts of things, depending on the membership develops the curriculum. So the membership, depending on what the membership wanted. Very engaging conversations. It's not just a lecture. Anyone expecting to come and sort of learn Spanish over 6 weeks, that's a completely different program. These are independent sessions. There's no prep for them, and there's no homework, which is always a great thing. So I really, I love that program. I got deeply involved in it. When I left the University of Central Florida, I moved to Elon University. And there was nothing like that in the community. And so one of the things that I started was a Life at Elon University. And some people think that when it says Life at a university, all you're going to talk about is what's happening at the university. And that's not what it's all about. I think that's the first thing that I would want to say to people. It's not about life at the university. It's about lifelong learning and all of the things that anybody might want to learn about. Everything from beekeeping to the politics of the moment to the historical perspective of the community. People from all over learn so much, even if you've lived in that community for such a long time. So the Life at Elon program is now been going, well, so I should say that the UCF program has been going for over 35 years. The Elon program has been going now for 14 years. And it has a massive number of members. And in fact, they have 4 different programs that are face-to-face, and then they have 2 that are just through the internet, so virtual components. But they have about 400 members at this point in time. And then I was fortunate enough to get a position at Western Carolina University. So guess what? There's a Life at Western Carolina. And it is based in Cullowhee, North Carolina, and also in Asheville, North Carolina, and is a thriving program. Again, based on the same premise, and Sarah will go into the sort of structure of it a little bit more. But each of those programs hits on the 6 things that you mentioned, Brian. And I just want to tell you a little story, and then I'll pass it over. But what I saw with every member of the LIFE programs is that they were engaged, their brains were active. They brought such a lot of their own experience to a lot of the conversations, and as such, they were totally engaged. And oh, I know a little bit about that. So having very engaging question and answer interaction is really a key component of the LIFE programs. We want our people to be engaged. We want them to bring their experiences to the table. And isolation is a big thing for people in the older age. And so my little story here is that one of the members, when I was at Elon, one of the members had a colleague whose wife had just passed. And they weren't looking after themselves. They weren't eating properly. Again, one of your tenants. They were just not doing very well. And so this gentleman invited his colleague to come to one of the LIFE events. And we do day passes, and there's all sorts of ways in which you can be engaged. So he brought his colleague, and he enjoyed it and got to meet some other people. And at the end of the semester, he came to me and said, Dr. Allison, you have changed my life. And I said, okay, so what have I done? And he said, this program has allowed me to really get back into being social, get back into keeping my mind active. It really has been a tremendous lifesaver for me, because I really was going in a very negative direction. But now I'm going for dinner clubs. Now I'm, going out for trips. I'm doing a whole bunch of things, and I'm meeting a whole lot of people, and I'm much more energized, much more well dressed, etc. Looking after himself. The fun part of the story, before I pass it on, is that he came back to me after the second semester and said, "You've changed my life again." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Well, I've met all of these people, and I dearly love my wife, but I've met someone that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with." And so while the LIFE program is not a dating program by any manner of means, it is a program where, you get to hang out with people, you get to meet lifelong friends, you get to have the opportunity to engage your mind, your body, and your soul. And it is something that keeps you young. And again, in every case, you get to interact with young people on campus, and that multi-generational component is really important. So that's why I'm passionate about it. The research shows that these kinds of things really help people be much more active in their older age group. And that's what we want to see at this campus.
I really appreciate you mentioning that. And I know that Sarah's going to continue the conversation, but I just have to say that from being there, from actually sitting in on a session and hearing the conversations that take place afterwards, I did see individuals looking at the university calendar, the different performances, whether they were musical or theatrical, and looking at additional ways to get engaged with the community and with each other. I won't say that I heard anyone specifically talk about walking groups or pickleball in terms of the exercise component, but as you point out, even enjoying time at the dining hall, which I know that's a high traffic area on those days of the sessions, that folks are eating with one another, are engaging in that fellowship and talk time. And that truly does help overall brain health and wellness, physically, mentally, spiritually, as you mentioned. And so we are just thrilled at how well this aligns with AARP's mission. And we want to make sure that our members know about it. Thank you for what you've shared today.
Thank you.
Sarah?
Well, I came to the program a little late in the game. By the time I heard about this, Allison and other colleagues on campus and some retired faculty members and current faculty members had all been meeting behind the scenes to talk about how do we get this up and running. And then they thought, well, someone has to do it. And so I was brought in and dove right into the material, to the plan, read as much as I could. And Allison put me in touch with my counterpart at Elon, just so I could see, what am I in for? And she gave me some incredible advice. But one of the things that she said that has stuck with me this whole time is that she said, "Sarah, this program will change your life." And I thought, well, it's work. I don't know how it will change my life. But Brian, she was 100% right. Being a part of this program is the most rewarding and fulfilling thing I've ever done professionally. And it's all because of the people like Sue and Allison and Cindy who are on the screen today. I have gotten to meet so many wonderful people. I have watched these connections form. I have watched people light up when they see new friends that they've made. Anecdotally, I've had some folks tell me, because we're off in the summertime, we don't have any programming over the summer. I've had some folks tell me how over the summer they start to feel a little down because they don't have our weekly sessions. They don't have it on their calendar. They may not have many other activities going on. And so I see the value just in them coming to campus and engaging with us, engaging with the material and their friends. And we have some members who have been diagnosed with early stage dementia who have told me how important it is to them to have a routine and to still, be engaged with lifelong learning to make sure that, they're firing on all cylinders and still, absorbing new material. And so for me, that has been just a real joy, because I'm seeing weekly all of the benefits, the 6 tenets that you mentioned. I'm seeing all of that in real time every week. And that has been such a joy. And, our students, well, members, we don't call them students, our members are so hungry for information. They come every week with legal pads and take furious notes on anything like how to plant a pollinator garden to Robert Oppenheimer developing the atomic bomb. They want to know everything and they want to write it down and share it with friends later. And we have, as Allison mentioned, virtual members who aren't able to join us weekly, but we have an option where they can watch recordings. We have closed captions added to those to make it accessible for all of our members. So we've really got a broad range of people who join us. Most of them are not alumni, which is really interesting. But a lot of them, Cindy is an alum, Sue is an alum. A lot of them have education backgrounds. So you can see that, once you're a teacher, you never lose it. You always want to continue learning and sharing information with others. So that has been a real treat. And one thing that it might sound simple, but one member has shared with me a few times how important it is that I greet everyone by name. And for me, it's so I can remember, I want to continue to repeat it so that I don't forget a face and a name. But just that little touch really makes people feel like they are part of this community, because they're not just someone walking into the theater. They're somebody that I want to get to know, and I want to have the best opportunity to enjoy their day on campus. So it's just my counterpart at Elon was right. It really is life-changing.
If I can just mention a couple things that you've shared,
Sure.
just to be very clear. You've pointed out that you do not need to be an alumni of the university to participate. And I think you maybe just said that even more than are not not alumni. So this is widespread and open for anyone in the community that wishes to participate. If there are other specific boundaries or guides, please let me know. You mentioned, or we heard earlier, that there is opportunity for intergenerational connection. So that's a real blessing, and I know something that people look forward to. And you don't even have to have a college degree to come and learn and continue the learning process. So it doesn't matter what your basis for education was. This is a chance to be part of a community that's devoted to learning new things, to helping one another, and to truly be engaged, which I think is absolutely important and wonderful. And thank you for, again, pointing out that sense that the community is really where the action, the fun, the sense of talking through what we heard together, and then even taking it one step further, perhaps planting your own pollinator garden, right?
Absolutely. We had a professor, former faculty member, present in our first year on art from Europe, paintings from Europe during the Little Ice Age. So it would have been what those painters saw, what the climate looked like. And so as we were listening to his presentation, everyone is sort of, looking at the paintings, in a different way. Mm-hmm. And we had a member who went to an art museum not long after that presentation, came back to our sessions the next time, saw that presenter and said, "You've changed the way that I look at art." and she was so happy. And the former faculty member who presented was just over the moon. He was so excited about it. So yeah, like you said, you don't have to be an alum of the University of Lynchburg. You don't have to be an alum of any university. Just you have to come wanting to learn and engage and experience new things. That we just want enthusiasm and good times.
Excellent. Well, I was thinking it was a stretch, as I mentioned, the 6 pillars of brain health, to even bring up exercise. Because I thought, you know what, that really doesn't pertain. But now, as you're even just mentioning, walking around a museum, if somebody said, hey, this is something that I should know more about, I've got a little taste, I want to actually go to the museum and take a look and see, how things appear to me now. That in and of itself is physical activity. It's exercise.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And our members walk around campus afterwards. They'll walk across campus to the dining hall. So they're getting some steps in, and it's great to see.
Thanks for letting me make sure I checked all the boxes.
Of course.
Who else is here with us today, Sarah? Who do you want to pass it over to next?
I am going to pass it over to Sue Tatum. Sue is the co-chair of our curriculum committee.
Hello, hello. I have been very graciously asked to be a part of this organization by President Allison, and I thought, what will I have to contribute? It has given me something to look forward to every week. I've been associated with the college or the university since '78. I have lived in Lynchburg almost that whole time. And one of the things that I have learned, and I'm thinking a lot of people are things about Lynchburg that you didn't know. And when you've lived in an area as long as I have, you think you kind of know everything about it. So coming into the program, I got to meet people, I got to learn things, and I thought, I'm almost 67 years old. I don't think there's much for me to learn. The fact that I can learn about this place that I have lived in for so long and met so many wonderful people is just amazing. And what happens is we get to our membership coming in, and they have all sorts of ideas that we didn't even think of. Julia Sigler, Dr. Julia Sigler is my co-chair this year. Liesl Kitlitz was our co-chair, but she has moved out of the area. And it's just been a real joy to get input from people, get input from our committees, get input from the campus. And it's just really brought us together as a community. And I can't think of a better way to put it. Our topics have just included so many different things. I can give you a couple examples. Sarah mentioned the Heisenberg certainty principle. We had music and creativity from our campus, but it's also spurred. We've got the Opera on the James is coming to speak this coming fall. So we've got so many programs that we offer for people to learn about. History, of the Black history in Lynchburg. What happens when you talk about the removal of Civil War memorials? Just so many topics. And you look at the semester, which has 10 programs, and you think, I'm interested in that one. And the ones that you think you're not that interested in, you come away. And I've heard it from so many members saying, wow, I didn't think I was going to really like that one, but that's been one of my favorites. So that's pretty amazing. So I have a wonderful curriculum committee. I have the opportunity to work with the executive committee and the membership. So I couldn't be happier in being asked to be involved.
Oh, that's great. I really thank you for your personal testimony there, and especially about broadening one's perspectives and being open to hearing new perspectives on unique and interesting topics that maybe you haven't looked at before. I have noticed that some people have joined the webinar since I started it, and I want to ask that if you have a question, please put that in the Q&A box, which should be at the central portion of your Zoom browsing window. Instead of putting it in chat, put it in Q&A, and we'll make sure that we have time to answer those questions at the end of the session. Thanks again, Sue. Sarah, who's next?
Well, next we've got Cindy Lynn, who is a double alum from Lynchburg College, and she has not only been a member of our program since its inception, but she is our incoming program president.
And that's one of those, I raised my hand to say, I'd really like to be involved with the curriculum committee. And lo and behold, they needed a new president. So I'm still finding my way with some of that. But it's enjoyable and it's part of my learning process. I learned something today, what the LIFE stands for. I did not know that. I'm not sure if I'm alone in that, or just, it sailed right by, but I appreciate that it's not using elder anymore, but they're using engaged learners, which I like that a lot better. The thing that stands out to me the most is the community, and I met with Allison and Sarah a couple of weeks ago, and the community aspect of this, I think, is one of the most important things that I could stress with that people, they want people involved. They want input from the people who are attending. They want people to say, this is what we would like to have as some of the programs. So the input is valued, it's acted upon. I know the curriculum committee does a really great job of looking at what people's requests are and following some of those leads. So the community aspect of it, I think, is very important. And I've enjoyed also being the learning end of it. I've been with the program since it started at Lynchburg. And my husband and I both attend. The neat thing about it, I'm not sure if it's been made clear to the people that are listening in, but you can join for all 10 sessions, or you can look at the menu of what's going to be available and pick and choose sessions. If you're traveling and can't come to some, that may be the more economical way to go, or not. There are also scholarships available for community members who are contributing and giving back to the community. There's that word again of community. And there are scholarships for educators. So, that's something that people could consider. And I think somebody already mentioned, these are taped. So if you miss a session and you want to watch it later, you can. Not only that, but if you missed or misheard, some of us don't hear as well as we might have one time before. And if you didn't hear parts of the session, or something went too fast, or you didn't get the notes that you wanted to get, you could go back and revisit that. So there are a lot of opportunities that way for people to participate on the level that is appropriate for them. As I said, I'm learning my way for the president part, but as a learner and a member of the group, I have been with it since it began in 2022, I think it was. Yeah.
Excellent. Sarah, did you want to share a little bit about the time, date, the website, that kind of thing before I start asking some questions? Or would you like me to
Absolutely.
jump right in?
Sure. You can learn more about our program at lynchburg.edu/life at Lynchburg. I'll add that to the chat before we end today. You can learn more about the scholarships that Cindy mentioned. We had some very generous supporters who contributed to our program and have allowed us to offer scholarships to retired public school educators and for those giving back to their communities, as Cindy mentioned. You can also check out our schedule, and you can sign up online, or some people don't like to do online transactions, and so we're always happy to help. So my contact information is there as well. And I did want to mention one resource we have on campus, the Beard Center on Aging. Beard Center was founded by an alumna of Lynchburg College, Belle Boone Beard, who was a very famous gerontologist who wrote, I think, the book on gerontology at the time. And we have a brand new director, Joe Lugo, who comes to us from the Department of Health and Human Services. He has a multitude of experience in the field. And we're really excited to have Joe join us for our first session. He's going to introduce himself to the audience and talk a little bit about the Beard Center and the programming that's available. They do everything from workshops on aging in place to caring for loved ones who have dementia. And so I'm really excited for people to learn more about the Beard Center.
Excellent. And I have had the chance to introduce myself to Joe Lugo. I'm very impressed with the way that he's hitting the ground running. And as you mentioned, comes with a wealth of experience, a lifetime of experience in the field of aging. We're just so thankful that AARP and the Beard Center on Aging have been active collaborators for many, many years. You mentioned retired educators just briefly, and I didn't know if you were aware that AARP was founded by a retired educator, Ethel Percy Andrus, who began focused on retired teachers. And even now, AARP works alongside of retired educator groups throughout the Commonwealth. And it made me think I need to make sure that they are aware in their monthly meetings of what's taking place at University of Lynchburg. So thanks for bringing that up as a specific focus. If I could, one of the questions that I have for you today is, where do you get the professors or students that take part or instructors for each of these 10 lessons each semester?
Basically, because we have such a great curriculum committee, which is made up of, depending on the semester, usually about 8 people, and we can pull from their expertise. They are people that are either, we've had faculty on the staff in the past, we have people in the area that are on the committee, and it's just a wealth of knowledge, and not just in subject matter, but who they could talk to about D-Day Memorial or museums or railroad fires we've had. It's unbelievable once you start the discussion how many people want to participate and know something or someone. So every semester we prepare at least a semester ahead and try to get lined up what the interests are. And then we assign our committee members to, get in touch with people, see what their availability is, let them know what we have available as far as dates go. And then we just hit the ground running with that information. And we have not run out of anything to talk about, just so.
Wonderful. Well, and I think what you're sharing is that if someone's interested in a museum or a topic, that oftentimes it's a director of a local museum who might actually be presenting. Am I thinking correctly? As in addition to when I participated, I know that actual tenured staff or faculty from University of Lynchburg were presenting on a topic.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We've had Ted Delaney, who's the director of the Lynchburg City Museum, has presented for us before. He's going to present again this fall. So we sort of run the gamut of directors, professors, artists, just experts who have gained information on their own from their own lifelong learning journeys. So we really are lucky to have such a broad pool to choose from.
That's great. Another question, it was mentioned that there's no homework, no tests, so that's kind of a good thing. Even though when you mentioned the fact that some people bring their yellow notepad and are scribbling notes, in my opinion, when I see these folks who are there, I think these must have been some A+ students in their, growing up years, because I've seen that really intense note takers, but no tests. My question is, can you describe the audience participation or the conversation that is allowed in the auditorium? Again, I know you have a beautiful facility. It's really well set up so that everyone can hear. There's no bad seat in the house, but can you just talk through what the interaction between student participants and the individuals who are presenting at the conclusion of each seminar?
Oh, sure. So our sessions are 2 hours long with about a 10 to 15 minute break in the middle. So we encourage our presenters to use that first hour, and maybe they'll go a little bit over into the second, to just fill that with their presentation. And then in the second hour, we really allow and encourage robust Q&A. And our members come loaded for bear with questions. Sometimes there's some good back and forth banter if maybe there's a topic that they're not 100% in agreement with from our presenter, but we encourage all of it. We want to see that participation. Sometimes our members will hang out after the session is over just to continue the discussion with the presenter before they leave for the day. And then if you go over to the dining hall afterwards, you'll see groups of our members sitting together, not only getting to know each other, but going over what they've just learned in the session that day. So we love it and we encourage it. We want more participation, if anything.
That's exactly what I've seen. I'll also mention that AARP aligns itself with the Lifelong Learning Institute at Virginia Tech. and we have for several years. Those are online programs that AARP is mostly engaged with, but it seems to me like a lot of people have read the book before they come to the session. I'm sure that others hear the session, their interest is piqued, and then they follow up. In terms of networking, this is just my own question or thought, but because so many of the presenters are from the area, or again, are leading nonprofit organizations, maybe even an elected official locally, or a museum or institution director, it seems like it's a good opportunity for those interested in just general networking in the community, for perhaps lining up a field trip for a civic group, a church group, a membership organization, a neighborhood club, to then go and tour a facility or a home site or a special landmark in the community. Would you say that those types of informal network connections take place as a result of being introduced to new and exciting topics through Life at Lynchburg?
Oh, absolutely. I think we've all witnessed that in the lobby, in the breaks, and afterwards, people making those connections. But the field trips that I have been a part of, we coordinate. So depending on the topic, if we've got, for example, when Ted Delaney comes this fall, he's going to talk about the history of Quakers in Lynchburg. And so we're going to try to do a follow-up field trip to the original Quaker meeting house on Fort Avenue. We've got April Cheek Messier from the D-Day organization coming to talk to us. And so I'm going to try to schedule a field trip out to Bedford so we can tour the memorial together. So we're always looking for those kinds of opportunities just to continue learning. I also do trips over the summer even though we don't have programming, I schedule local trips just to keep members engaged with each other. With the program, and those trips, for instance, we've got a group that comes over from the summit, a local community. And so when I organize those trips, the staff at the summit will ask me if those are only for Life at Lynchburg members, because they'll have some other residents who are interested. And I say, bring them along. We want everybody to come and get to know each other and learn a little bit more about our community. So those networking opportunities are always available.
Excellent. And honestly, I'm sorry that I didn't realize it beforehand. It's probably something that I should have been aware of, but I'm so glad that you're saying we're actually, in addition to meeting on campus, also giving folks a chance to learn in an ongoing way.
It also
Please,
brings up,
Cindy, yes.
it brings up, I had made a note that the field trips weren't mentioned, because when Sarah talked about people missing the sessions, the 10 sessions when they were over, and then what do I do with myself? That fills a need. And I think that was Sarah's idea to put some things into the summer that people could participate in. So that's really important to know also.
Is when these groups get together and go on these field trips, they have formed a group of friends that may have never known each other in sessions, but they get to know each other a lot better through these field trips. And it's just a really wonderful opportunity to see how it all kind of comes together, and you make new friends, you have old friends. It's wonderful.
That's excellent. The last question that I have here is in reference to true connection and friendship, or even just watching students participate in some way. I think some have musically done, but just if you could, again, elaborate a bit on whether there is connection between these participants in Life at Lynchburg and the student body itself.
Yeah, I'm always looking for more ideas to involve our students proper with our membership. We've had student assistants last year. I had one, for instance, who was an art major. And so not only was she helping me at check-in, but she had a couple of painting workshops where she came up with a design and walked our members through how to make their own painting that maybe didn't look like hers, but embodied the spirit of what she was going for. We do have plans this year to involve our students even more through our newly formed student engagement board. So I'm very excited about that. I'm always looking for those intergenerational opportunities to just have students talk to our members. If they can attend some sessions, that's great. Also, our final session every spring semester is the Student Scholar Showcase, which is when our students have the opportunity to display the incredible work that they've been doing throughout the year. They do performances, they do a poster session in the gym where it's sort of like the science fairs of our youth, where they have the big displays. And one of the great things this year was we had a great turnout from our Life at Lynchburg membership that went to hear our musical theater troupe perform for the Student Scholar Showcase, and also went down to the poster session because one of our students is a staff member at the summit in their dining room, and they heard that she was presenting. And so they all hopped on the summit's shuttle and came over just to see her great work and see all the other students' work. So it's really been a joy to see those connections being made. And I hope that those will grow even more in the future.
I really appreciate you being willing to talk through. It looks like President Allison wants to add just a couple of words as well, please.
So just to add to that, you know, a lot of our LIFE members can also be standardized patients for our PA programs and our other medical and health programs. And that is a fabulous way to be given a script and told, you know, I have this condition and these kinds of things. And it really helps our students obviously learn hands-on how to diagnose and how to work with patients. And that's been something that's been a tremendous boon for our membership, because there's nothing better than working alongside the students and helping them learn as well.
I so much appreciate you saying that. And again, I don't mean to be fixated on what a great dining hall you have, but when I've seen students and members sitting with each other at the conclusion or afterwards, you know, spending some time just in informal conversation, I just think that's absolutely delightful. And as you point out, it's really a win-win both ways. Students having a chance to interact with individuals who are mature, life experience, can share with them insight and wisdom, and then the vitality of the University of Lynchburg student body, just adding again some pep and vigor and excitement with a sense of purpose and hope. I think that the program you're offering is absolutely wonderful, and I'm thankful that AARP has had a small part in helping get the word out and bringing folks in. Unless there are concluding comments that anyone wants to make, just be thinking about that while I run through the 6 pillars once again, as AARP wants to make sure that we're clearly identifying how this program does hit on all 6, as we discovered here. I was, again, so thankful for the way that it encourages folks to be social, to engage in fellowship, one with another, and build community. I think community was probably the word most mentioned on this webinar today. Obviously, engaging one's brain, helping to manage stress, to promote ongoing exercise, to help people to sleep well and to eat right. I don't know exactly how the sleep, restorative sleep and sleep well works in exactly, but hey, we'll think about that for the next webinar, and just want to make sure that as folks are planning out their schedules, each week, you know, thinking about what this week holds, to make sure that each and every person is encouraging that social connection and ongoing learning with the recognition that it does truly impact one's health, mind, body, and soul. Thank you all for being part of today's webinar. We have answered all the questions that have come in. I feel like we've used the time wisely. Are there anything else? Is there anything else that we need to point people to or mention before we conclude?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you so much, Brian, you and AARP and Pam, for hosting us today and for being such great partners and doing such great work in the community. And if anyone has any questions, they can give me a call directly as the program coordinator. I'm always happy to answer questions. My number is 434-544-8084.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, President Allison, Cindy, Sue, and Pam. And with that, we will conclude. I wish you all the best of luck.
And thank you for getting the word out.
You're
Yes.
very welcome.
Appreciate it. Come join us. Yes.
I'll be there. Take care. Bye.